the radioactive sources. Right, so that's going to go up. It's going to make a little clicking sound. Okay, so you can see it's already gone up to 24. So the radioactivity that's coming out, you can't see it, you can't hear it when it's on its own, you can't taste it in the air or anything like that. It's invisible. But if you imagine it's like bullets flying out of the radioactive material, like a machine gun just spinning around, just firing bullets everywhere. And they're so small, they're smaller than atoms, that they just go straight into the atoms and ionize them. So imagine just loads of bullets. Right, here we go. We're going to look at 3 types of radioactivity. I want you to pay particular attention to the safety precautions I'm using. This is the most important one. Why have I got these? I cannot touch the radioactive sources. If I was to drop this box of saucers onto the ground and it was to kick up the dust, we would have to run, and you'd probably have to go to Doncaster Royal Infirmary for a bit, maybe have some iodine tablets. If this stuff gets kicked into the air and you breathe it in, and it gets into your body, that's contamination. If I got some onto my skin, all day it would be on there, firing the little bullets into the atoms in my hand. So I cannot touch this. So here we go. So this is the saucers, right? And on here it says, handle only with tongs, do not point towards the body. Now I'm only going to take this sauce out literally for as long as I need it. And the rest of the time it's staying in this special lead box. Okay, so as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to put it away. I'm not going to point it towards me. I'm not going to point it towards you. So this is an alpha source. I'm going to put this next to the detector. And you can see the counts going up straight away.
It's like 1,000.
So right now it's just firing out the bullets, the alpha particles. Now what can I do? If I move this away, the count rate just goes back to the background. What's stopping the alpha particles? Just the air, yeah. Air is enough to stop alpha particles. What is not enough to stop alpha particles, what is enough to stop alpha particles also is paper, look. Nothing, loads. So even paper or a bit of air will stop alpha particles. And that's because they're so ionizing. That's the one that's really dangerous. That's the one that I really don't want to point because it would ionize all my hands. It wouldn't give me cancer or hurt me or anything, but it's just not a good idea. Right, next one then. Beta particles. These can get through the air a lot easier. Even over here, look, I can get some to hit the detector. But what? Do you think the paper will stop it?
No.
They're only little electrons, remember? Yeah. Let's see. Straight through the paper. It's almost like the paper's not there. Let's see if we can find something that will stop beta particles. I'm going to use a little piece of foil. Now, it can still get through a very thin piece of foil. So I'm going to use a slightly thicker piece of foil. See if this will stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got it. Look, that's just background counts now. Take that away. Loads. Gone. So foil, as long as it's thick enough, is enough to stop beta particles. That's going to go back in there. Last one, which comes in a lead-lined box. Which is the last one? Gamma. Right, let's try gamma. This is a gamma source. Gamma is very penetrating. It can just pass through pretty much anything. It goes through the air.
Through paper.
It goes through the paper with absolutely no problem whatsoever. Let's try the thick piece of metal that stopped beta. Straight through the metal as if it's not there. What else could we try? Let's try some lead coins here. Think it will go through lead?
No. No.
Straight through a little bit of lead.
Not a
Loads
lot.
of lead, as much lead as I can find in the box.
No. No.
Let's try it. Not as much. Really, to stop it, I would need a really thick piece of lead or concrete. Do you think this will go through my hand? Yeah. Straight through. But it's not ionizing, so I don't need to worry. I'm not touching it as well. You notice I'm leaving a gap. Straight through my hand, not ionizing, so not a problem. But I'm just going to put that back in there. I'm not pointing it towards it. Now, something that people always say, so safety precautions. I pointed it away from me. I use tongs to pick it up. I put it back in the box as soon as I'm done. Now, what one of you is going to put on a test at some point, you'll put wear goggles. Because you won't be able to remember, oh, what did Sir do on the day? And you think, well, we always use goggles. You think the goggles are going to stop this? No. Let's try it.
No.
Absolutely no effect. Let's try the beta particles. Straight through the goggles. So goggles aren't really effective, that's why I'm not wearing them, it's just not helping. So that's alpha, beta and gamma and what stops them. I'm going to put this back in the box just so it's out of the way. I'm going to show you something else. This is pretty interesting. You don't get to see this in most schools because they don't have this. I've got here some watches that used to be made in a factory, and what they used to do with these watches is they used to paint them with glow-in-the-dark paint so you could see the time in the dark. So they used to paint on the numbers. And the people who used to work in the factory, who used to paint the numbers, because they needed a teeny tiny paintbrush, they would put the paintbrush in their mouth to make it really pointy and then paint on. What do you think happened to them?
Radio poison, like radioactive poison.
The paint was radioactive. Let me show you how radioactive. And you can imagine a person all day, every day, eating a little bit of paint that had that much radioactivity, and their stomach was full of radioactivity all the time. And the people who worked in the factory got cancer. What about the people that wore the watch? Do you think they would?
No.
All day long they've got that on their hand doing that. But the good thing about it, what was really lucky was, no radioactivity can get through the back. That's the back of the watch there. So what do you think it's emitting that can't get through the metal of the watch? Gamma would go all the way through, remember, gamma can even go through lead.
Beta.
It could be beta, because beta can get through a little bit of metal, or alpha, yeah. So this is probably an alpha source. And that's really fortunate, because the people who wore the watch would have also got irradiated if they were got hit by radiation. I've got one in here that's even more radioactive than that one. Let's see if we can...
What did you? Just get the radioactive stuff. Radioactive bombs, please. The detector.
That one is really radioactive. Alpha particles. I don't think it is alpha particles though, because what's on the front of the watch?
Lead.
Glass.
Oh.
And alpha particles can't even get through air, so they wouldn't be able to get through glass. So this is emitting beta particles. They can go through the glass on the front, but on the back, the metal is enough to stop them. So this is emitting beta particles. Oh,
So where did that number get to, a million?
Well, then you die.
are we close? No, there's
No.
loads to go yet. But yeah, it would just have to be reset, or it would reset itself. So the main things I want you to take away is what stops the free touch radioactivity and what safety precautions did I take. So if you go back to your worksheet, on the worksheet there's some safety precaution questions. I'm going to put 5